Welcome back to Barnsley in South Yorkshire. No surprise, it's been another busy week here on the farm, and over the next hour we are all set to bring you another crop of stories. Coming up, vet Matt Smith goes in search of insects that could soon make their way into our human diets.
Well, I've got no gravy, so looks like we're going to have to try them raw.
I don't know what you're pulling a face for, because we're going to be trying them a little bit later on. But listen, if that doesn't whet your appetite, we'll also be catching up with JB Gill, who meets a couple that have swapped their city life for something completely different.
We're a bit naive that we thought that we'd be able to, like, oh, we'll just, you know, sail in, and actually it's been really, really hard.
And we also have the cutest of new arrivals, a baby donkey foal called Princess.
Plenty to look forward to on tonight's...
This week
on the farm. Talking of princesses, hello, boys. How are we?
Really good.
Thank you, yeah.
Busy time for you on the farm at the minute.
Certainly is, yeah. Princess the donkey has been keeping us up all night with nighttime feeds. It's just been non-stop.
Autumn is without doubt a busy time of year, lots of different jobs, lots of different responsibilities. In the face of all that, there's been a lot around about labour shortages. You found a way to get around it.
Yes, we have. My nephew Marshall is joined the team and hopefully he's going to be a rising star in the farming business.
It's always a joy coming here and spotting all the family members. I mean, how many generations now work here at Cannon Hall? And where did it all start?
Well, originally, Jules, my grandfather bought the farm 1957 for £6,100 at auction, so that would be very exciting. Tragically, he died within 6 months of buying the farm. My dad took the helm and worked hard and absolutely did his best. We joined him as soon as we left school, and we've carried on ever since. So to see Marshall joining the business is really pleasing, and we're really optimistic for the future.
We did actually follow you, didn't we, with Marshall to see how he got on with you two as taskmasters. Shall we have a look?
Let's see how Marshall got on his first day.
Farming needs new blood. The workforce is ageing and many farm hands have retired with no one filling the vacancies. So Rob and Dave are doing their bit. They're taking on a new apprentice, but he's not exactly new to them.
Marshall is our nephew. He's brother Richard's son. Now, it's his first day at work today. I've got a few plans for him.
The boys have got some harsh lessons that will either make or break Marshall. Lesson 1. Get up early.
He might be having his breakfast, Rob.
Oh, hey, oh. You're late. This is a bad start.
You're early. We're going to have bother today.
Oh, he's here now, look.
How are you feeling this morning?
Tired. Well, this is going to be loads of fun. It's your first day of work, and I'm looking forward to it.
I wish I could say the same.
Come on.
Lesson 2. Love your animals, even when mucking out. This should go down well.
Basically, Marshall, grab your shovel. You've got to get all that wet straw, right, leave the barrow outside, scrape that down to the front, and this is your friendly co-worker.
Always give her a scratch, Marshall, and introduce yourself. It's really important that you bond with your animals, you get on with them, and they'll work with you then. Just a bit more there. Right, you've done a fabulous job there, Marshall, but the bad news is there's another 40 pigsties to muck out. Come on.
Oh, heck.
Next, it's out to the paddock for lesson 3. More shoveling.
Right, can you see all them big lumps of horse muck?
Yeah.
We'd like all them in the barrow and nice and raked and left tidy. With an appointment with a kettle, but we'll be straight back.
Yeah. 1 or 2 sugars, Rob?
I'm sweet enough, Dave, thank you.
All part and parcel of the farming life. So how does the new boy feel about it so far?
They're making me work too hard, if I say so myself. But they'll say they're not making me work hard enough. They're definitely going to try and pull my leg a bit. It's like, that's all they do.
Marshall is used to Rob and Dave pulling his leg, but can he take a joke? Lesson 4.
You all done, Marshall?
Yeah? What do you want me to do now?
I could do with you going over to Rob and ask for a long stand, please.
Hiya, Marshall.
Hi, David wanted me to ask you if you have a long stand.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, just wait there, please. Is that long enough?
The oldest gag in the book. But he's now got the biggest lesson of the day.
Right, Marshall, we're going to separate the Herdwicks from the rest now. Can you wrangle them round there, bring them down this channel? I'll use the shedding gate to move them from one to another, and hopefully we can get it done.
Sounds like a deal.
That's it, keep them coming, Marshall. Good lad.
Here endeth the lessons. So how has the new apprentice shaped up?
Working with Marshall today has been like a breath of fresh air. I've looked into the future and I've liked what I've seen.
He's going to make a fabulous farmer. He just needs to be able to get up early, get the job done, and hopefully not grumble.
So have you enjoyed today, Marshall?
It's been all right.
It's been better than that, surely.
Yeah, when you get back to the farm, can you ask Grandpa for a heavy weight?
Well, look at this. We have got, what are you, a gaggle, a clan, a tribe? We've got all the Nicholsons together. Obviously, Rob and Dave. Head of the family, Roger. I don't know what I should do. Bow. Marshall, the star of the moment, and Marshall's dad, Richard. How was it for you, Marshall?
It was very annoying that I've been bossed around by what I would call children.
You can only get better.
But I bet you were meaner on him than you would a normal apprentice.
No, I think what Marshall needs and what he'll get is tough love. He needs to know when he's done well, he needs to know when he's not done so well. And we'll be absolutely scrupulously fair, but we won't let him get away with anything because that's what he needs. He needs to learn and learn properly, and David and I are united and we're going to teach him the way.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I've had a few tricky bosses in my time. I know that you have as well, Helen. These two, though, surpass all of that. You are absolutely brutal.
The best face there was Richard's, because Richard was literally doing that. They haven't got a teenage boy. For you, has it always been inevitable that Marshall would come to the farm?
I've always hoped that that's what he'd do, and he's always loved animals, so that seemed to be the path that he was going to go down.
I don't think there's anything more complex than a farming family, though, because you guys want him to come into farming. But for a lot of young people, it's not an attractive prospect, is it?
There are so many other careers out there, Helen, and farming's got to make its case. It's got to show that it's a career that's worth having. You need to be good with computers now to succeed in arable farming. You know, there are opportunities out there, but you've got to grasp them, you've got to be efficient, and I'm sure between us, Marshall can tick all those boxes and do really well here.
Now, we saw there, Marshall, you being kicked out of bed by these two, revelling in the moment. I'd like to think, Roger, that going back in time, there must have been moments when you had to kick these three out of bed at some point. Surely they're shaking their heads. There must have been moments.
Well, I can think of a few, especially after a really bad night out. They might call it a good night.
Good night.
It was a good night, but turned into a bad night, or a bad morning anyway.
Thank you. Lovely to see you, Roger, Marshall and Richard. Thank you, of course, for checking in with us. When we return, we'll check in with Daffodil the donkey to see how she's been getting on with her newborn foal.
That is a real hanky moment. You do not want to miss it. And it's a bug's life as vet Matt Smith goes in search of insects.
Oh, rather him than me. To to This Week on the Farm. Now, as we've been discussing, autumn is one of our favourite seasons of the year, but it's a season of change. And if you've been following the news, you'll know that farming is going through a monumental change.
Absolutely. Agriculture is on the front line in the battle against climate change, which means that many farmers are now having to find really inventive ways to reduce their carbon emissions.
So we sent our intrepid reporter, Vet Matt Smith. I don't mean to laugh, it's just Vet Matt Smith is more of a lovable, massive puppy and we encourage it.
Big vet.
But we sent him to London to find out more about one industry that has been bitten by the farming bug.
Bug?
It's about insects.
Oh.
Just watch.
When I heard that those Londoners were growing insects and maybe eating them, I thought, well, each to their own. And then I thought, I've got to go see this. So, my search began right in the heart of the city. I'm a bit far from home at the minute, but I have been told there's something really quite extraordinary under the ground somewhere. Now, I've just got to find it. Believe it or not, I'm looking for a farm, an insect farm to be specific, and the app on my phone has brought me right here to a spot beneath one of London's busiest underground stations. This could be it. This is where Kieran Whitaker is spearheading a quiet revolution. He's breeding black soldier flies for food. But I needn't have worried. They're being used in animal feed, which makes sense since insects are packed with protein. What's more, there are minimal food miles involved in its production.
Most people don't realise that kind of the food, you know, the chickens and the pigs that we eat, the salmon, are fed on internationally supplied fish and soya meal. So this means deforestation in the rainforest in Amazon and fish meal caught off, you know, the Pacific coast. And that's all dragged up, shipped and sent halfway around the world for us to produce, which in itself is slightly crazy. You know, we are and should be self-sufficient.
So back in 2017, Kieran set to work with the aim of breeding black soldier flies on an industrial scale.
This is our insectary. This is where we produce the black soldier flies. Now, we are producing here insect-based protein. Why? Because it's a sustainably, locally produced protein that we can farm and produce here in the UK.
Where did you get the idea from?
I looked at ways that we can recycle products. So that's the angle I came at. We create a lot of food waste. You know, it's 1/3 to 1/4 of all the food that we actually produce. We're going to throw them back in the bin. Insects have been around for 150 million years. Black soldier flies have been around for 70 million years. They are recycling perfection.
The soldier fly larvae will eat pretty well anything, and they pack on the pounds in no time at all. It takes just 2 weeks to get to this size from being a mere egg.
Now, we have 5 days' worth of eggs here, and actually, that little group there will be 100,000 eggs. There are 500,000 larvae here. So in our production facility, we're having up to 1 billion insects at any one time.
And that's a heck of a lot of protein. Insects contain more protein per 100 grams than fish or eggs. But why just feed it to animals? Why not humans too? With the global demand for meat on the rise, we may have to. Could insects be the new Weetabix? I'm here to find out. Probably the first Yorkshireman to eat a fly. On purpose.
So right now we're in the fly breeding room. This is where the final stage of the circle happens. This is where the adult males and females come together to mate and lay their eggs. One female is able to almost repopulate an entire cage by itself. And as you can see, we have hundreds and hundreds of flies in there. So it's a really, really rapid growing system, as long as you get all of the environmental conditions correct.
Okay, and it's getting quite hot in here as well. Time to cool off and tuck in. So, just take a handful. Well, this is definitely a first for me, this Kieran. I've never eaten bugs before. Well, I've got no gravy, so looks like we're gonna have to try them raw. Always try new things. They've got a real nutty flavour to them. They're dry, you don't have to swig them down with water. And the aftertaste is really quite pleasant as well. Genuinely, those are really quite edible, without gravy. Well, my eyes have been opened. I came to the city expecting to find another food fad, but you know what? This could just be the future. To feed a massive population on such a sustainable source. Brilliant. And to think how many cattle and sheep you'd need to produce that much protein, it's something to think. But I'll have to do that on my trip back up north because I'm sensing I've been too far away from home for too long, so I'd best get going.
Tim's here.
How are we doing?
Head chef Tim Bilton, always a pleasure to have you with us.
We saw Matt there investigating what could be the new thing, of course, protein from insects. You've got a selection in front of me here, which I have to say I'm slightly nervous about. What are you going to do for us?
Well, I've done a few things for you, Jules. I've done some mealworm arancini, and we've stuffed that with mozzarella.
And mealworms.
Yeah, and plenty of these things here.
Oh,
can I break it open? Because I'm fascinated.
Of course you can, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, look at that.
I think if I open that, you'd just think something had got into it by accident, wouldn't you?
I'm just watching you battering that grasshopper. It just doesn't seem right to be able to recognise the ingredients somehow. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, just because we don't eat these here, they are eaten all over the world, Jules. In Japan, I've studied that they eat wasps, deep-fried wasps. In China, deep-fried scorpions, and you see them selling these on street markets.
What's on the cookie?
So this is a chocolate chip cricket cookie. That's easy for me to say.
Right, first time for everything. Here we go.
Ah, whoa, 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 whoa. You know I love you and I want you to fully immerse yourself in this experience.
Are you telling me that I haven't got enough creature on my...
That's chocolate, my friend. Have cricket.
Thanks, mate.
Now, this works really well. You've got the chocolate chips and then you've got the crickets on there, which have got a slightly sort of hazelnutty sort of a flavour to it.
Tim, you can give me all of that chef colour in your description, if you wish, but the proof is going to be in the eating. Let's have a go.
Textures?
Something crunched. I'm hoping it was a chocolate chip.
I doubt it.
I don't know what it is. It's all in the mind, isn't it?
It is. It's
if I didn't know what was on this, I'd think, oh, that's a lovely chocolate cookie.
Can you taste anything that would taste crickety? I don't know what a cricket tastes like. Not chicken, surely.
No. That just tastes like a great big chocolate chip cookie.
So you wouldn't know. What is in this, Tim?
So in there we have locusts. So this is a chocolate fondant.
Oh, open that. Go on, have a look.
But why?
Oh.
I mean...
So these locusts have more of a walnut sort of a flavour.
What do you think? Would you order that? Would you eat it?
Yeah, no, I'd probably send it back. OK, but have you enjoyed cooking with these?
I've loved cooking with these, to be quite honest. Loved it.
And what you got there? You got your deep-fried...
Grasshopper.
Grasshopper.
Feels like more of a savoury
dipping
situation.
sauces for you here.
Go on.
Go on, Jules.
It's just a little bit like whitebait.
And I hate whitebait. Oh. Right then, I'm going to go for this nice dark sauce. What's the sauce?
That's a smoked hickory barbecued sauce, is that one?
Right. You owe me one. Well, come.
No?
No.
Oh, we're not selling it.
Oh, no, not for me. Do you think this is going to take on, Tim? Seriously? I mean, we're having a bit of fun with it, obviously, and it is new, certainly to me and to Helen. But the benefits, provided we can overcome our reservations, probably speak for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. Like, these are full of protein, nutrients, antioxidants, and to 100 grams of insects, you get 30% protein. To 100 grams of chicken nuggets, you only get 15.
I love your work, but you've not made that look that appetising.
But the cookies, however, you get away with those. Well done.
Cheers, Tim. We look forward to more autumnal feasts over the next few weeks. Thank you very much. Now, if you're watching last week's programme, you might remember that Cannon Hall Farm had a royal visitor.
They did indeed. It was such a momentous event that just 10 days later, when a new baby donkey foal came along, the boys named it Princess in honour of the occasion.
But as we're about to see, Princess has not had an easy start to life. Rob and Dave know that difficult births can mean difficult bonding between mother and baby. And that's the case for Princess, this newborn donkey foal. All she wants is love, but so far all she's had from her mum is rejection. Mum Daffodil went into labour during the night, and straight away there were problems. The foal wouldn't come, and Rob and Dave had to intervene.
Right, we've just helped Daffodil deliver her little foal, We're now giving them time to connect with one another. We just need Mum now to acknowledge that foal, to lick it, to connect with it, and if she does that, then we're all going to be happy.
After good signs at first, things took a turn for the worse. Daffodil was pushing her newborn foal away and even biting the little one.
Dawn is breaking, it's 4 o'clock. It's 4 hours since I went to bed. I left this donkey feeding its foal, as happy as Larry, everything going perfectly, and I've come out again this morning and she's rejected it. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
It's vital that Mum and foal bond, but come daylight, the situation is even worse.
Right, we've got a problem. Mum is not besotted with this little foal. Adorable that it is to us, she's just not convinced. She's not totally against it, but we're having to persuade her to let it get its colostrum. It's vital it gets this first milk. It needs it for immunity. We need this foal to get its colostrum. If it doesn't get its colostrum, it will not live.
48 hours later, and Rob and Dave have taken things into their own hands.
We've separated the mare and foal. Now, it's a bit of a nightmare. It needs feeding every 2 or 3 hours. So Rob's getting up in the middle of the night. I'm doing the 12 o'clock shift. We're getting someone to come in nice and early to give the morning feed. So it's all hands on deck.
Right, let's see if Princess is hungry.
The boys were able to get some of Daffodil's life-saving colostrum into Princess. But to ensure the little foal's safety, they are having to supervise the feeds with Mum.
Come on, come on.
Come on, beautiful.
Come on, come on.
Come on, little girl.
Oh, you're a good one. There we go.
Good girl.
There.
Daffodil is still not sure. The boys need to be extra careful.
You see how she lifted her foot there?
Yeah, steady, girl, steady.
My big worry is when it goes behind her, I feel as though it's going to get a kick, and she's a powerful animal.
The bowl of feed is acting as a distraction. It'll buy vital seconds Princess needs on the teat. But Mum's still reluctant.
Hey. Steady, Flower, steady, steady. Good girl. Good girl. Steady.
Come on, don't be awkward. Ooh, steady, steady.
Come on. Come on.
The signs are promising. Princess is getting the milk she needs, and Mum is not kicking out.
This little foal is now 2.5 days old, and Mum has got so much happier with it in that time. I think the introduction of a little bit of food has helped, but she's generally happy to let it feed 5 or 10 minutes, and then we pop it back in the next door pen. They talk to one another through the bars, and I think we're making progress.
Feeding time over, and it's back to the safety of the pen. While it's still touch and go, the boys will be here 24/7.
We've still a lot of work to do. I do the 11:45 shift, Rob does the 3 o'clock. There's a lot of feeds to give that little foal, to give it a fighting chance to survive, really.
Daffodil is really improving with the foal. I just think there's a little switch, a maternal switch, inside her brain that just needs to click, and I think she'll love it, she'll bond with it, and I'm really hoping that she'll bring it up and I can have some full night's sleep again.
So will those late nights pay off for Rob and Dave? Well, we'll be returning to the story of Princess the donkey foal after the break to see how she's getting on.
Fingers crossed. And we'll also pay a visit to the Devon farm, helping to reintroduce wildlife to the British countryside.
See you in a few minutes' time.
Welcome back. Now, before the break, we followed the story of Daffodil the donkey, who was having difficulty bonding with her newborn foal.
And we left the story at a crucial point. Rob and Dave had just managed to get Princess to take milk from Mum, but clearly there was still a long way to go.
It's now just over a week since Princess was born, and after a shaky start, she's getting along better with her mum, Daffodil. Rob and Dave have been monitoring her health, and there's some good news and some bad.
Princess the donkey has had her results back. Matt, the vet, took a blood test, and thankfully, she's got really good levels of immunity. So that really encourages us. The downside is that she's dropped 500 grams in the first week of her life, which is not ideal.
It's not looking great for little Princess. If she doesn't start putting on weight in the next day or two, she may not make it. What's needed is to feed her up. Extra milk will hopefully do the trick.
Dorsey is our milking goat. We've bought her to secure a good supply of milk throughout the year for any orphan animals or animals that need a little bit extra help.
We're milking Dorsey twice a day. She's giving a good amount, definitely enough to feed Princess and hopefully see her through to weaning.
Starting now, Princess will be getting 4 bottle feeds a day in addition to those from her mum.
If Princess doesn't put weight on this week, then she's in real danger. We really need this to work now. Come on, beautiful. Are you feeling hungry, eh?
She looks hungry.
Come on, Flower. Good girl. Good girl. You going to drink this milk?
She drank well last night, Rob. You know, at 12 o'clock, she had a bedtime bottle, if you like, and she did really well.
Well, she had a full bottle this morning. I'm just hoping that lunchtime she's just as hungry.
Princess is really going for it. It's a good sign.
It was really disappointing that Princess has lost that little bit of weight, but she's drinking well. I'm hoping within the next few days she's going to be putting weight back on.
Right, we're going to give her a little rest. Let her gather herself for a minute, and then we'll try her again for the last drop. That's a full tummy now. Good girl.
If all goes to plan, then Princess should start to put on the pounds.
What's that? She said she likes my bottle feeding better.
Until then, the boys will be feeding her around the clock.
I feel a little bit like a proud parent. I'm a little bit obsessed. I need to know that she's fed at the right time. And yeah, I do worry about her when I'm not the one doing the feeding.
Well, let's check in on the lady in question. You sort of talk quietly because she's kind of a newborn. How is Princess doing, Rob and Dave?
Oh, she's doing brilliantly well, Helen. She drinks her milk, she's growing every day. We could not be more pleased with her.
And what about Mum? Mum looks a lot more settled.
She's happy. I mean, it's really sad that she's not managed to rear Princess, but she's happy in herself, and I've got hopes that they'll be out in the field together enjoying each other's company in due course.
Well, as we know from last year, you know, donkey foaling is not without the potential for tragedy. It's so nice to see Princess here coming out the other end of this story and hopefully now looking forward to a really bouncy future, skipping around Cannon Hall.
Yeah, she's definitely turned a corner. She's putting a lot of weight on it, and as you can see, she's just a bundle of fun.
They are so much fun, and that was an inappropriate time to laugh, but our friend over here was basically making himself known. I'm here too. Yes, you're all gorgeous.
And all behind her, lads.
Yeah, born naturally to Cynthia, the mother donkey. Exactly how we like them. She's feeding it herself. Everything is absolutely perfect there.
See, there you go, Cynthia. You got your mention. Job done.
Now, clearly she's bonded with you two. Is there a danger that she'll feel more attached to farmers Rob and Dave than her mum?
I don't think so. A happy donkey, you know, is a good donkey. And she's going to be a farm favourite before you know it.
We'd have lost her, Jules, if we hadn't fed her, so it was absolutely vital that we did.
Now, on a completely different topic, you're no strangers to having rare breeds here on the farm. If you could reintroduce any rare species into the British countryside, what would you go for?
Well, a bit controversial, but I'd go for the pine marten.
Would you?
You know, it's a sleek, you know, cool animal, and they'd help to control the greys, and then perhaps the red squirrels would come back.
Yeah, OK.
Yeah, I think that beavers do a wonderful job in damming the rivers, helping prevent flooding, so I'd go with them.
Well, let's head to Coombs Head Farm in Devon, where life used to be all about traditional sheep farming. These days, they prefer to take a walk on the wild side.
The last year has seen a rewilding revolution, bringing back native species that were once found all over the UK. And here, at this training camp for rare animals, they don't come much rarer than these guys.
Hello, Jura. You all right?
They might look like domestic cats, but they're anything but regular moggies.
A bit warm today, isn't it? A bit warm for a cat, eh?
Ecologist Peter Cooper is working on a special captive breeding project here at Coomshead Farm in Devon. His team hope to soon reintroduce these tabby and tawny pattern wildcats to the English countryside, where 200 years ago they were hunted to extinction.
So in this particular pen, we've got a pair of a couple of kittens. We really want to start looking at breeding good numbers of these cats to hopefully release into wild sites in England in the future. In the UK, we know that England had wild cats until at least the 17th century, the 18th century, and there is still good habitat as well. Plenty of woodland, plenty of meadows where they're going to find prey.
Whilst a small population of wildcats remains in Scotland, it's hoped the ones in this project will be some of the first to be reintroduced in England.
Hello, I see you. I see you.
Which, as well as helping the species survive, will also help our environment.
Field voles are one of the #1 prey species, which can cause damage when they start gnawing the roots of young trees, which can then have impacts on vegetation structure and the whole ecosystem below it. So having those predators are really important in the ecosystem.
Knowing these cats well, Peter has no qualms about entering the enclosure to feed Dura and Ivan.
Yeah, food time. Now that's the cat you want. Yeah, if you're a human being, you've got nothing to fear, really. They are not as their reputation suggests. They will get close, but they won't actually jump up on you. Wildcats as a whole are generally very non-aggressive.
Along with these felines, one of the farm's other ambitious projects is to breed and help restore a distinctive bird, which was once a common sight across British wetlands.
We're currently in one of the white stork aviaries. You listen to that and you think, what a sound. It's a big, showy animal. And you hear them, you see them, it's like a pterosaur. They're this amazing, huge bird which you can't miss.
White storks had been extinct in the UK as a breeding bird for 600 years. But last year, in a landmark moment, a Sussex reintroduction project recorded sight of a nesting pair, and Peter has high hopes for the ones here who have already begun breeding.
We're hoping in the future these can supply reintroduction projects across the UK. This is a bird that within a decade I suspect you will see right across the country, flying up and down, nesting on rooftops, and being a very common sight within our farmland fields.
It's an extraordinary feat that, much like the wildcats, these beautiful and unique birds are making a strong comeback after being on the brink of extinction here in Britain.
But what these birds do is, as well as being a missing piece of the puzzle of British wildlife, is it really engages people. It shows people what our wild landscapes could look like. It brings back a spectacular bird, and it helps us realise, you know, what we're missing, what our nature could be, and what we could bring back.
What wonderful creatures.
Oh, absolutely. And remember, they are absolutely wild. So if you do see one in the park, maybe hold off on the selfie.
That is it for this part, but join us in a few minutes' time when we'll be catching up with gardener and wellbeing expert Annabelle Padwick to give us all the lowdown on how good it is to grow your own autumnal fruit and veg.
And we'll also be taking a look at some of your harvest photos. See you in a bit.
Welcome back.
And welcome for the first time this series to the courtyard allotment. Look at this lot. Looks gorgeous, isn't it?
It's very autumnal. We've got loads of pumpkins everywhere, cabbage, beetroot, you name it, it's here if it's homegrown goodness.
And if you like what you see, no surprise, this is the handiwork of head of the Nicholson clan, Farmer Roger. In fact, you should take a sneak peek, if you can, at the marrow he's growing back there. It is getting bigger by the hour, I think.
Listen, he is not the only one who is green-fingered, though. We asked you to send in your autumnal pictures of things that you've been growing at home, and we got such an amazing response and such an impressive one.
Have a look at this. Jane from Essex. These are what you call your UFO squashes. I see what you mean. They're definitely that sort of shape, aren't they? Really, really well done.
And the Flower Farm in Surrey has sent a fantastic picture of these Victoria plums.
They are very, very impressive. Nice shot, too. Let's have a look at the next one. Well done to Eliana from Falkirk in Scotland. Look at the size of that sunflower. Is that twice your height? I think it is.
That's ginormous.
Absolutely huge. And I love the T-shirt. What does that say? Hello, sunshine?
Well, clearly hours of fun to be had with fruit and veg, and it clearly is a great and rewarding hobby. But how many of us would be willing to turn a pastime into a full-time business?
Probably not many, but JB Gill went to East Sussex to meet a couple who've done exactly that.
In the last year, there's been an exodus of folk quitting the city. I did it myself to become a farmer. But I want to meet the next generation who swapped the urban sprawl for the farm. Sinead Fenton and Adam Smith are such a couple, and they are preparing to harvest.
Hi Adam, hi Sinead. How you doing?
Hi there, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Well, you guys are not from a farming background, are you? So how did all this come about?
Just by fluke and chance, really.
It was more like a drive to want to be out in nature and do something that wasn't just like our desk jobs and get out a bit.
So what did you do before, contrasted to what you do now?
I worked in London for about 7 years, just a financy job at an insurance broker's.
And then, yeah, I was just quitting jobs, just trying out lots of different things, like worked in mining for a bit, worked in food policy, I worked pot washed for a while.
I'm passionate about seasonal veg and go out of my way to buy locally when I can. So Sinead and Adam's setup ticks all the boxes for me. Autumn may just be around the corner, but their 4-acre site is brimful of tasty-looking produce.
So what do you have here on site?
We've got quite a mix of things. So, like, over on that side over there, we've got kind of edible flowers and kind of our unusual, like, garnishes. Then we've got herbs here as well. And then kind of over on this side, we've got loads of vegetables. Kind of a mix of different things, but it's all about kind of flavour, colour and celebrating food.
The couple sell their veg and edible flowers online, but the bulk of their produce stays local, going to London restaurants and nearby pubs. It's a lot of work, so is running a farm what they expected?
We're a bit naive that we thought that we'd be able to, like, we'll just, you know, sail in, and actually it's been really, really hard. Like, the wind is pretty extreme, like, you can get like 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, which just stunts all of the crops. This year we've been flooded, last year we had a drought, so yeah, it's kind of getting a bit of everything.
Time to get out of this wind and into the calm of the packing shed. This order will be going to a local pub. They've asked for 3 kilos of salad veg.
Yes, that one's like about 1.3. Thank you. And that one is 1.7. Yeah, bang on.
So how much goes out from the farm each week or month or year?
I mean, we're in the kind of like peak of growth at the moment, so we probably do kind of like 10 to 15 kilos of salad a week, like probably like thousands of flowers probably head out into London. And then like a lot of our herbs, we do them in kind of big bunches, so we send out a few kilos of those.
What do you think 12-year-old Adam and Sinead would be saying to yourselves right now?
12-year-old me was probably playing the Nintendo at the time, thinking, what's he doing outside?
Yeah, I thought I was going to live in a mansion, but I live in a caravan.
Yeah.
It might be a caravan for now, Sinead, but I wouldn't rule out a mansion one day. Right, time to get this salad delivered, and I've been promised lunch for all my labours. A slap-up meal using Adam and Sinead's produce. What else?
Here we go.
Amazing. Oh, thank you.
Amazing. It must be quite satisfying seeing the food that you've produced on your farm actually on a plate.
Yeah, it's quite a good feeling, especially when it tastes this good.
When you see other people eating stuff as well.
And enjoying it.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
Well, I will eat to that. And it just goes to show that with a bit of hunger in your belly and the desire to give something new a go, you really can break the mould and live a good life.
Be in no doubt, making the leap into farming is challenging. But from what I've seen, this couple have got what it takes. So it's hats off to Sinead and Adam.
Well, we're going to talk a bit more about growing your own and the nutritional benefits with our gardener and wellbeing expert, Annabelle Padwick. Thank you for joining us, Annabelle.
Thank you.
Listen, everybody can do something, can't they?
Absolutely. Everybody can grow their own food. Whether they've got acres and acres of land or whether they've got the tiniest windowsill, you can absolutely give it a go and have success.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you meet a lot of people who say, yeah, but I'm not a gardener. And they won't even go there or try it. But what can go wrong? I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, it just won't grow, and you'll learn from that.
Absolutely. I always say it's one of the best tools to actually learn resilience and patience, because actually, like, when things go wrong, it doesn't actually matter. Really, it doesn't matter in the scheme of things. But it teaches you actually try again, play around. I think, to me, gardening is playing. Growing your own food is playing. And actually, that satisfaction of growing something from a seed, which looks like absolutely nothing to a lot of people, into something that they can harvest, like a giant pumpkin. Which I remember when I grew my first pumpkin, I was so proud of it. Just making you believe in yourself, that's what it did for me, is definitely think, actually, if I can do that with a tiny seed, what else can I do with other dreams in my own head or my own aspirations?
What should people do at this time of year? Because it's autumn, people are harvesting, yet it is a good time to start thinking about next year's crop.
Yes, I think a lot of people now are thinking, oh, we're on the wind down. And that is good to be winding down and stuff, because the soil does need to rest at some points throughout the year, and we need to refeed it. But we can still be growing. So there is still things like onion sets, garlic sets are great for this time of year. And then also just things like radishes, lettuce, spinach, but with those, they can be harvesting them within weeks at this time of year, but just make sure you've got fleece protection ready in case we get the frost and the cold weather, and just check the seed packets and the varieties, because you want those late varieties. And I always think that's actually another thing where people get it wrong, and I did when I first started growing. I thought, oh, it'd be fine, I'll bung the seeds in, water them, and actually, I would say, actually, if you can, read the seed packets, because actually, they actually do tell you how to do it, and normally it's pretty accurate.
You're making me feel really guilty about what I haven't sown this year, but I feel highly inspired to get out there and make next year my year for growing bigger and growing better.
Annabelle, thank you so much for such a good insight. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Now then, as you can probably tell, it is officially dark, which means I think that we have finally come to the end of the show.
It means that Rob and Dave can't see when we put these in the back of our
Right, you head off with that, and I will wish everybody a very good night. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, next week for more from This Week on the Farm.
There's loads of berries there. Get
You
stuck
can't
in.
take her anywhere. Come on, grab something before everyone else does.
Join Jules and Helen next week at 9. A rival vet and news from an old flame puts Siegfried in a spin as the new series of All Creatures Great and Small continues tomorrow at 9. He thought he'd never be caught, and after 9 years he finally was. Brand new next, we reveal how in Levi Belfield, getting away with murder.